Okay, class, welcome back to Learn English Now. And in this lesson, we're going to use a skit from the popular television show Friends. And in that skit, we're going to learn how to use mixed language. And what do I mean by mixed language? I mean, like, for example, scientific terms with religious terms with slang terms, all mixed together. Okay, so we're going to learn how to start using mixed language to learn more advanced conversation because these are the type of conversations you're going to hear people carrying on in English. Okay, so again, this course is pretty much beginner to intermediate students. You guys already know some vocabulary and some sentences, and you're doing a great job up to this point. And so what we're going to do is take that mixed language that I was talking about, and we're going to put it into a skit. Okay, and the skit, this is the actual objective of this lesson. And the skit will contain scientific terms, religious terms, and slang terms, all this mixed together. And the learner's gonna, you guys are gonna learn how to create skits by mixing all this terminology into conversation, okay, so that you can begin to develop, not only participate, but understand real conversations that are going on. Okay, so briefly going over today's lessons, we'll just discuss the objectives, and first we're gonna review the vocabulary from last week, okay? Then I'm going to show you the model. The model is going to be the skit from Friends. I'm not going to show it to you. I'm going to let you watch it. Okay, then we're going to do a guided practice, which is I'm going to create a skit for you, and then you're going to be on your own, and you guys are going to create your own skits. You're going to make your own television shows that are going to be more popular than Friends, okay? Okay, so we'll describe, if we get time, we'll describe to the assessment, but that may be saved for next week. Okay, so this looks a little creepy over here, but basically, we have some religious terms, and I have some religious symbols, and we have some scientific terms with some scientific symbols, and we have some slang terms. Like, okay, so this gets pretty difficult. So you start having, and we've gone over this. This is a warm up. This is review. We've discussed all these terms last week, along with others, but these are just terms to get you going so that you can start writing your skits now. Okay. So, for example, we talked about creationism, that you believe that some higher being, actually created everything. And if you're a fundamentalist, you're pretty strict to your beliefs. Okay, as a scientist, you talk about fossils and species and evolving through time, things like that. That's all in this video I'm showing you, and it's all vocabulary we've discussed in the previous term. Okay, so slang. I just don't buy it. Well, what does anybody remember what that means? Yeah, very good. That means exactly. You don't believe it. Very good. Well, that's perfect. Okay. Open your mind. Does anybody remember what open your mind means? Yes, you're correct. That means to just exactly. That means to just be open about new ideas and new principles. You don't be closed off to things around to new ideas. Okay. Down with that? What does that mean? Like, I'm down with that. Yes, very good. You're correct. Okay, so um, great. You guys have pretty much learned these terms, and with that, we're going to move on. Now, a thing to say about slang is also always changing. Something you might learn now, well, if you go away from an English-speaking country and come back 2 years later, it may not be used anymore. So slang, you have to keep right up on top of that, okay? All right, great. So here's the skit. You go ahead and you click on this and you watch it. And at the end of the skit, I want to have some discussion questions for critical thinking, okay? So does the producer have an agenda? Some people are really, me, I'm not really biased one way or the other, but some people are really sensitive, and this may cause an argument to discuss about creationism or evolution. Um, so sometimes you might want to see, does the producer have an agenda, and think, what do you think? What's your opinion about the way they're presenting the material? Are they presenting it to try to get you to believe creationism, or are they presenting it to try to get you to believe evolution? Okay, who won the argument and how? I think the argument was probably won by one person in this presentation. And how did they win the argument? And does winning the argument actually prove that you're right or wrong, whether you believe in creationism or evolution? Okay, so let's start up. I'm going to give you a little skit. Okay, so I'm speaking to this gentleman here in our classroom. Okay, sir, do you believe in evolution? No, I'm not down with that. I'm a fundamentalist. Okay, all right, so you guys know what I'm not down with that means. We've been through that. Okay, now, but scientists have been right about many things, um, such as physics and mechanics and much, much more. Uh, he responds with true, but even now scientists cannot fully describe even what electricity is. So, he's right. So, the point is that argument hasn't really been solved and it could go on forever. That's what makes it a good argument for learning English because it mixes all this language and you can use critical thinking and you can just keep going with it. So you guys can take it as far as you want. And I want you to create the presentation and then we'll look at the assessment, how you're going to be graded. Okay, students, you'll be graded on your ability to carry interactive conversation using scientific, religious, and slang terms. Okay, so you want to start mixing all those terms that we've been discussing. Okay, students will be required to speak interactively. That means you're going to ask questions and respond to questions in a top-down manner. We've discussed the top-down manner. What does that mean? Yes, very good. You're not going to sit here and hold a sheet of paper. You got to remember the main concepts. And you may plan to say one thing, but when you get up there, you say something a little different, but you're going to have the main concepts in your head. And that's all you're going to have with you. And how are you going to do that is you're going to create mnemonic devices and mind palaces to memorize the concepts to be discussed in a top-down manner. And we've discussed mind palaces and mnemonic devices. So once you write out your skits, use those mind palaces, mnemonic devices to memorize what you're going to say, but you don't want to memorize it word for word and you're not allowed to write it down. You have to use it from a top-down you have to use a language from a top-down concept method. Okay? All right, thanks a lot, guys. Let's get started.